Hi everyone, my name is Chris. I'm founder and CEO of Pathway CTM. Delighted to be here as part of the Bucks Skills Show 2020. It's Friday, it's the last day of the lessons that we've got planned for this week. And we're here with David, who's from McAfee, who you might recognize as the tech company, and also on representation from the Bucks Disability Service. We're here to look at teamwork in a digital space. David, I'll hand over to you and your expertise.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, Chris. And I'm delighted to be here. As Chris said, I'm both here as McAfee, which is a cybersecurity company. Device to cloud is our current tagline. Watch this space. We'll change it in a couple of years, like every company does. But I'm also an ex-trustee and treasurer for Buckinghamshire Disability Service. So I'm going to be talking about both aspects of this. I'm currently an ambassador for BuDs because although I'm no longer a trustee, I'm still passionate about what they do. So I'm going to talk a little bit about me and how I've ended up working with BuDs, and then we'll go on to how BuDs has managed to use the digital features in the Microsoft suite to massively expand the number of volunteers we've got and also actually launch new projects during the lockdown. So about Dave, hang on, my computer's decided I haven't got the focus in the right place. There we go. So about Dave, I am a maths geek. I love maths, and I went to university, got a bachelor's in maths. I didn't do particularly well because I discovered sport, alcohol and other things at university, but I did well enough to then go on and do a postgrad certificate in education to teach maths at 11 to 16. I loved that. I didn't want a desk job. So being in front of kids and sharing my passion for maths was great. Unfortunately, it really wasn't the right career for me at that point in time. So I got to play with these things, tornado aircraft. And I was doing research on infrared sensors that go on the front of the aircraft so that we can detect targets without them knowing we're there. After a few years there, I really got embedded into computing. Computing was always my hobby. However, this time it then became my day job. And then after working for a couple of companies, I ended up at McAfee in 2005, and 15 and a half years, I'm still there. Now, to get involved in BuDs, which is a disability charity, and all of the trustees of BuDs are disabled themselves. Unfortunately, I suffered a spinal injury as a result of being on too many aeroplanes in the cheap seats. I'm 6'1", and effectively when you sit in the cheap seats, my knees are brushing up against the chair in front, so you can't get comfortable. That's caused me to have a spinal problem that still persists today. It started in 2011 and I still walk with a stick today. This photo was taken last weekend when I was putting these slides together. As a result of the physical disability, I've also had mental health issues as well and suffered quite severely with depression. So that gave me the perfect profile to get involved with BuDs, and I happened to know the chair because his kids were at swimming lessons with mine. We got chatting, I got invited on and somehow ended up as a treasurer. So we're now going to talk about how BuDs uses the different skills that disabled people bring. Everyone's got their own unique skills, and it's a case of teasing them out so that people are able to show them off. The typical workplace doesn't really empower people. It's a bit of the social model of disability where the typical workplace is putting barriers in the way for disabled people to be able to work. In the same way that someone puts a slope in the way, that's great for wheelchairs, hurts like heck for me and I have to find steps. But if there were steps only there, then the wheelchair user would be struggle. So yeah, that's the social model and this is the work model. So we're predicting a different type of workspace. What we're saying is that because of the pandemic, it has been proven that more remote working is not a bad thing. It's great to meet up with people face to face. However, that doesn't always work. You know, I haven't been into the McAfee office since the Monday that the lockdown was announced. Oh no, sorry, I was allowed in once to pick up the stuff I forgot to bring home, but I had to get permission to go in there. Our office can fit 230 odd people in it, and has currently got the caretaker and the security guard in it. And we're not opening again till January. We're going to have more flexible working. So, you know, you're not going to be told 9 to 5 is your work hours. You're going to be told, these are the tasks we would like you to work on, and here's the deadline, and then you plan the work the way that works for you. And as a result of that, companies are having to adapt really quickly to this changing environment. You know, it's very easy when you're working from home to not stop working, but you've got to have those breaks, otherwise you burn out. We've had people in the team that I'm in that have just gone, I can't cope anymore, and I had to take a day off. I did that 3 or 4 weeks ago on the Friday. Woke up in the morning and my head just couldn't face the idea of logging into my laptop. So I took a mental health day. My boss supported me and I felt so much better by the Monday. If I'd have been forced to go into the office on that Friday, I would have been off work for a lot longer, but taking that one day gave me the break. So about BuDs, fully disabled run. It's basically run by disabled people for disabled people. We have probably got 4, 5, maybe even 6 times more volunteers as a result of the lockdown than we had before. Previously, all of our volunteers had to come into the office. So we were actually talking about the social model, putting barriers in the way. We were doing the same for our disabled volunteers. So now they can work from home. Over 90% are disabled. Yeah, I count myself as a volunteer. I'm doing the talk for it today. I've already talked to you about the disabilities I've got. We have no 9 to 5 roles, and we've only got 4 members of paid staff. We try and keep our core costs as low as possible so that any grants or awards we get can be used to actually do more things. And on my LinkedIn post that I did earlier today, I got the number wrong. We launched 8 new services in 2020, not 6. So if anyone sees my LinkedIn post, I've got to go and correct it later. So just think about that for a moment. A disabled charity run by disabled people has gone counter to everything else that's happening in this pandemic. And we have increased the number of people volunteering for us. And we've launched 8 new services. We did so well that Heart of Bucks, without us applying, nominated us for the Coronavirus Community Award. We didn't win, somebody else did, but we got hundreds of votes. So yeah, that we're being recognized by people that, you know, haven't actually worked directly with us. And we've got some quotes here from people that have been have worked with us. You know, being part of the project has been enlightening. In the last 4 months, I've learned a great deal about remote working, which is what I was talking about earlier. And I now feel at home as part of a workplace. You know, those are really powerful messages coming back from our disabled volunteers. So in order to make this work, because we're not doing 9 to 5 and we're not all meeting up in the office, we need to do something different. So what we've done is we've adopted Agile Scrum. Now, Scrum, it comes from a rugby. You know, you've got 8 people on each side trying to push people backwards. I've played rugby, I've been in a scrum. I'm delighted that I got put on the flank rather than in the lock or the prop position. So I was supporting as opposed to being right in there. So Scrum is a methodology. It's only a 1-page document. The original Scrum manifesto is 1 page. People have made careers out of it, but it's 1 page. So it began in IT. It's spread across numerous sectors, and BuDs picked it up as well, because we need the list of tasks, we need the people to do the work, but we don't want to say you will do it now, you'll do it this way, you do it that way. We need that flexibility. The other way of looking at it is, if BuDs as a charity had sat down in January and planned what we were going to do for the whole 12 months of the year, 2 months in, we'd have had to throw that plan away and start again, because COVID lockdown came in and everything changed. So instead, what we do is we plan a short period of work, we get that done, we then move on to the next one. And then some of you might recognize this. It's the Blizzard officers, wherever they're based. They're apparently quite famous. They've done games like Warcraft, Diablo, Starcraft, World of Warcraft, Overwatch, and numerous others. And their minimum job requirement is Agile Scrum methodology experience required. So people that are volunteering for BuDs are learning skills that can be used by massive multinational companies. And here's some examples. BuDs comes under the service, and then you look at the size of the companies that BuDs is fitting in with. FedEx, BBC, Walmart. I mean, Walmart's what, the biggest supermarket chain in the world or something like that? And BuDs is proudly sitting alongside there. McAfee, we use Scrum. I've actually done Agile coaching with some of the teams. So, I have been involved in the Scrum stuff for quite a while. And it's one of the other qualifications, including a security one that my boss told me to get a few years ago, and I still haven't got around to it. So how does it work? Let's take a really simple example. As a family, we need a tidy house so we can invite friends over and not be embarrassed. Well, depending on what your definition of tidy is, this could be a massive task or it could be a small one. So this is a story. We've said that it's an action because as a family, and then we've defined what the acceptance criteria are, is it needs to be tidy so we won't be embarrassed. So let's look at some of the tasks. First thing is, if anyone's got kids, for the teachers on here or any of the students on here, the first thing that anyone gets is you've got to pick up everything. So it's great. You walk around with a load of things in your arms. Yeah, not really, because the second task that we need to do is to put them away. Now, that might be one task or it might be two. It just depends on how big the mess is that you're trying to tidy up. Then you might want to dust or clean. And then finally, because I always get this in the wrong order, we'll vacuum. Take it from me. If you do the vacuuming first and then you dust, you then have to vacuum again. But because we're agile and we've got these tasks, we can inspect and adapt and we can change the order. Now, it does get quite scary because every task you do is visible to everybody else. So they can see what you're doing, but they're not seeing what you're doing to criticize or to check that you're doing the work. They're there to support you. In Agile, you have a daily stand-up. Interesting to do when you're remote. And I work in a team that's got people in San Antonio, Dallas, both in Texas, somewhere up north because he always looks cold, somewhere else in the US where someone's just moved and I can't remember where he is, me in Aylesbury, a colleague in Milton Keynes, and then one person in Bangalore in India and another person somewhere on the coast because he's just moved home with his parents. And we have a daily stand up at 4 o'clock in the afternoon because it's kind of when everyone's still working. And we do 3 questions. What did I do yesterday? What am I going to do today? And what help do I need? And it's that third one that's key, and that's where it takes the fear away. You're not saying, I struggled with this. It's more, I had a problem and who can help me with it? Now, as I said, it's really scary. The first time I did Scrum, it scared me to death because people could see what I was doing each day. Now I've got so used to it that I don't even think about it. I've got a task board very similar to this one here, and this is BuDs live task board as of 2 weeks ago. So live 2 weeks ago, yeah, you get the idea. And you can see what we did in September, what we did in October, and what we've got in progress. And the way that Scrum really comes in to help here is you can turn around and go, I'm a volunteer, I'm busy next week. So the story sits there. But some other volunteer comes in and goes, oh, I know about that. I'll pick it up and I'll do it. So when you come back, you haven't got that story, there's something else there. So everyone can help everyone else, and then you can move things along. And what you can do as well is you can say, well, look, there's 4 of us working on this project. Each of us have got our own thing that we're doing. That means only 4 tasks can be in progress. So you can focus on one, get it done, then move on to the next one. So you don't have this massive list of things that you're working on. You've got 1 or 2 things. The rule I've got in the little team I run is no more than 3 things in progress. Human brain at best can remember 4 things. So why not knock it down to 3? Don't look at my live board because I've got 5 things in progress because I'm on holiday and I'm doing this talk. I've got to write another one and I've got to study, and then I've still got my work tasks in progress. So I've technically got 5 things at the moment, but I'm only working on 3. This one, the presentation I've got to write, and doing some studying. So those are the 3 things I'm working on. And this then becomes really powerful because you have an idea and you drop it in the inbox. Then when the current to-do list starts to get smaller and smaller, we pick something up and we put it in from the inbox into the to-do, and then from the to-do into the in progress, and so on. So you can then manage what you're doing and it doesn't become too scary. And now the final slide is what it could mean for you. Right, so I can't remember what's up. So yeah, play to your strengths. You're working as a team to get things done. If you know nothing about it, you can either say, hey, not for me, or you can do, and this is the one I really encourage people to do, is, hey, I don't know a lot about that. I'd love to do something. Could I pair up with somebody and learn about it? Great way of working. It's a really powerful way of learning. Yeah, I teach people how to do Agile Scrum or Kanban or any other Agile methodology that I know about. However, every time I work with a team, I learn something new. I learn about their technology. I learn about their products. I learn that the way I've been presenting it turns some people off, so I need to change the way I'm talking. All of these things you pick up because you're always learning. Teams are encouraged to work teams are encouraged to work how it works for them. I've just talked about how the team I work with do it, and I've shown you the BuDs one. Everyone does things slightly differently. As I said earlier, the Agile Manifesto is 1 page. Scrums come out of it, Kanbans come out of it, paired programming. There's one beginning with an X. I can't remember what that one's called. There are loads of different variations that have come out of it. So you find the way that works for you. You know, if you like having a lot of things in progress, I really don't recommend it. You can do it that way. If you don't want to see what's in the inbox until you've finished your to-do list, fine, you hide the inbox. Yeah, you can do whatever works for you. And if you can't work for a day, hey, it'll be there tomorrow. Flexible location. Yeah, I am currently standing in a room at home. I haven't got headphones on because I'm lucky enough to be able to shut the door and no one else is around me. My wife likes working from sitting in a weird position as far as I'm concerned. She's a yoga therapist. So she sits in a weird position on a floor with a laptop set up. I like to stand. So I've got my desk upright and away I go. If I have to go into the office when it reopens, I will stand at a desk there because sitting for me doesn't work. Supportive leadership and reflective learning. Yeah. We're not saying I can't do it. We're saying I'm struggling with this. Who can help me? Yeah, that's really powerful. We're not saying you can't do it. We're saying we're here to help you. It's something called a servant leadership, where the leader is there to facilitate the team. The team is the most important because they are doing the work. The leader isn't an overhead. They are a barrier to stop things coming down from above. And then they are there to use their experience and their skills to empower the team. And then as a team, you get together at the end of your sprint and you work out what went well, what went badly, what you're going to keep, what you're going to change. That's how this Scrum thing works. We are, I've talked about this earlier, fewer barriers caused by fixed ways of working. Yeah, which means fewer 9 to 5 out jobs. Yeah, with 9 to 5, you work when you need to or want to or are able to. Now, if you're paid, you kind of have to do the work when it's due. If you're a volunteer, you do it as and when you can. And the nice thing about working with BuDs is the vast majority of volunteers that want to get a job get one quite quickly once they've started working with BuDs, because we build their confidence, we show them what they're capable of, and then we have the problem of trying to find more volunteers to fill the ones that have just got a full-time job because they can no longer help us. So, and with that, we've got a nice owl because it's a symbol of knowledge, and it's asking if we've got any questions. So, Chris.
Fantastic. No, very good presentation there, David. Thank you very much. Are there any questions from any of our students or teachers out there? Please do ask. One thing that I was really interested in actually was working on 3 things. So just talk us through how you came up with that sort of methodology and how you use it in your life, because it's something that I could definitely learn from.
So there's been numerous psychological studies that say at any given time, you can remember between 3 and 5 things at most. As soon as you go beyond that, you start to forget things. So, I can probably remember lots of things. If you ask me something, it's chucked away somewhere in the memory banks and I'll be able to pull it up. But if you're asking me about what I'm working on, if you go to the gym, you do one thing at a time. You might go on the treadmill, you might lift weights, you might push something or whatever, you do one thing at a time. It's not practical to only have one thing in your to-do list because you will get interruptions, you'll have deadlines and other things. Also, it might be a bit boring because it's a long task. So by having 3, it gives us the ability to jump around and change what we're doing during the working day without being overwhelmed by the number of things in the to-do list. Before we moved to this, at one point, I think I had 20 items that were in progress. Now you assume an 8-hour working day, 20 items, 20 divided by 8 is what, 2.5? So, I'm not really going to be doing this very effectively. So that's where we ended up at the 3 things. And there is psychological research behind it.
Thank you very much. We've got a student asking, they're 16 years old, and they're asking, how can they get in, how can I work with BuDs?
So you can go to the BuDs website, which is buds.org.uk, I think. Search for Buckinghamshire Disability Service. There's a contact us page on there, or you can send an email to info@buds.org.uk, and that will come through to us. And my 17-year-old son is currently our IT expert because he's rebuilding laptops and re-imaging them for us.
Was that
info@buds.org.uk?
I put it in the chat box there.
We'll have to check afterwards. Please
no problem.
check. I might have got it wrong.
No worries, but I'm sure we can Google it anyway. But that's great that people are looking to get involved, and it's a great organization, in terms of what you've been speaking about there. And just one more thing that I was quite inspired by your openness was around asking for help and, what help do I need? How have you coped with that in your career? You're a bit more experienced than potentially some of the students who'll be watching this. So from when you were straight into work to where you are now, how have you improved in asking for help, and where are you at with it now?
It comes down to self-confidence. So the belief in yourself. When I was a teacher, I had to ask for help because I was struggling. I had another medical condition at the time that was really distracting. So I ended up having to go to my head of department going, look, I'm really sorry, I'm not coping, I need some help. That was the most scary thing I'd ever done in work. I was about 6 or 7 months into teaching, and I had to go, this ain't working, please help me. And then it took me years after that before I felt comfortable enough to start asking for help. And the nice thing is that once I had that self-confidence to ask for help, I became more comfortable at work because I wasn't then expecting myself to always be perfect and always know all of the answers. I mentioned I'm going to do some training after this. I'm supposed to sit exams. I'm in my late 40s. I last sat an exam in 2009. And I've got to do another one. Well, technically I was meant to do it 4 years ago, but I'll be doing it next year. And that's actually more scary now than asking someone for help, because asking someone for help, the worst they can say is, no, work it out yourself. You mentioned Google. There's actually a website that's the abbreviation of let me Google that for you, because people ask silly questions, but it's not a silly question. It's a lack of tolerance by the person you're asking the question of, because you only learn by studying or by asking for help. So, don't be afraid of it. When you're in class, and you get stuck, you stick your hand up and the teacher comes over, socially distanced or whatever, and you ask for, gives you the assistance you need. Why would you think that once you get into work, you suddenly know everything? But you've got to then just get comfortable with the team you're working in and then be able to ask the questions. And that's why we like the agile methodology. Your 3 questions, there's 3 things: what I did yesterday, what I'm planning to do today, and what I need help with. So, it brings it into that team environment. I'm not as technical as I used to be. So I go to people that are 20 odd years younger than me and ask them for help on technical things. Yeah.
It's really interesting and a great skill to have. We just had a student come back saying, can I volunteer for BuDs if I'm younger than 16?
Ooh, good question. In some ways, yes. In some ways, no. Fill in the contact form and ping us and we'll see what we do. We all of our trustees and permanent staff are all DBS checked to work with people from cradle to grave, as it were. We've got the really, really, really enhanced DBS checks. So we have worked with volunteers under 16 before. I just don't know what the rules are now when everything's remote.
Well, we can find out absolutely for you, but well done for showing interest. And Caroline's asked, this looks great for teams and individuals working in teams. Is this focused for people in work, or is this something that students with difficulty managing their tasks could use, e.g. dyslexia?
Yes, you could. We use it as a volunteer thing. I talked about the example where you've got your list of tasks that you want to do for that day. I have my 3 tasks. I'm on holiday today. I've planned what I'm going to do today. I'm going to go for a walk. After this presentation, I'm going to prepare another presentation and I'm going to do some self-improvement by studying. So even in my personal life, I'm trying to keep it down to 3 things. So currently at the moment, the presentation would be in my to-do column, whereas in my in progress, I would have the walk, this, and the other presentation, because I don't want to do the other presentation. So I've had to put it in my to-do, my in progress column before the studying thing that I really want to do.
No, that's fantastic. And Marina's put on how to join as a volunteer. So we've put that in the chat box in terms of how you can get involved there. So
wonderful. As you can see, I'm up to date with the latest website.
Well, you are on your day off though, and giving back even in your day off. So I think we'll let you off there, David.
Okay, thank you.
I really like that, and just taking mental health days as well. I think something really important, isn't it? Companies now are aware of it, and sometimes it is okay. It's always okay just to say I need a bit of space, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I'm lucky at McAfee. We've actually got, I think it's 10 mental health first aiders in the office. I'm not one of them. I chickened out of that one. I got asked, but I didn't want to share at that time. I wasn't feeling comfortable within myself to share. But we had a guy that's an ex special services come in to do a talk, and he showed a video of him recording himself the day after he considered committing suicide. And it's like, well, hang on, if someone that's that tough, that's a Marine or SAS or whatever it was, could talk about that, then why can't other people? I'm not that open about my mental health issues at work, but I thought, hey, this is a great opportunity to start sharing about the struggles I've been through, because I'm talking about, work within the disability service, and invisible disabilities are just as impactful on someone's lives as the visible physical disabilities.
Well, and it's brave and it's commendable, because just by speaking about it, it makes it easier for everyone else. Everyone has hard times in life. It's never plain sailing, is it?
No,
like you might think
it is
as a youngster, but everyone goes through challenges in schools, in colleges, and as grown-ups as well. Brilliant. I just wonder, David, any other final comments from you? Otherwise, we'll wrap up, I think.
The main point of this presentation is ask for help. And if you get stuck, ask for help. If you need special adaptations to the work environment because of a disability or issues that you have, employers are legally obliged to make reasonable adjustments. So, don't be afraid to ask. I've got a desk that goes up and down as I push a button. I've got a special chair at work that's got a gap in the middle, so I've got no pressure on my spine. And they've got me an idiot's version of a leg rest. So normally you think a leg rest, you get a flat thing, you put your legs on it. No, they don't think I'm that clever. So they've actually got me a leg rest with 2 grooves in it to point out where my legs need to go. I'm sure there's a medical reason behind it, and it's not an idiot's leg rest, but that's what I call it. So, you know, they've made reasonable adjustments for me at work. And they'll do that for other, you know, people will do that for other people. Oh, sorry, companies will do that for you. Otherwise, they're not worth working for.
Absolutely. David, really insightful talk this morning, and students and teachers, do check out the BuDs website and find out a little bit more about that. Hopefully this session's been useful for you, and thank you very much.
Thank you.